Something very interesting has flashed in the 5-day time frame for ticker symbol VIRI. Let's go ahead and go over the charts now. What is up, you guys? Thank you so much for stopping by. Once again, this is ARCa coming at you with a VIRI technicals, raw price action, and statistical threat of analysis on this happy Monday. Before we get started, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share the video with a friend so that you and them could consider joining our trading community in Discord called ARCa Bulls. With that said, let's dive right into the charts. Okay, you guys, so we are looking at ticker symbol VIRI on the 12-hour chart here. And please remember that I still have a target that I'm eyeballing right in the area of about 199 to 205, potential continuation to the upside with a 5-day back test. But of course, the more relevant areas to look at is within this for now. But let's go ahead and go over the charts, as there are some very important things for us to look at. Okay, you guys. So first of all, I know that everybody is trying to follow along the golden cross, which is the crossing of the slower term moving average 50 days simple, right? So this is the 50 period SMA. Okay, and this crossing, of course, the 50 SMA crossing over the 200-day SMA, which would be considered a golden cross, right? So that golden cross is getting very close. So last week I was talking about a potential cross right around Wednesday or Thursday to be, I'd say maybe the 14th or the 15th is what I said, right? So, and now remember that it is a very bullish cross, but since we are facing the Fed, okay, we're talking about the rate hikes coming in. This is going to be a very important week. Okay, so this Wednesday could mark the first day. I'm talking about the first day in a couple years that the Fed may consider pausing a rate hike. Okay, so if that happens, the markets will likely rally. Okay, so if it doesn't happen, the markets will likely capitulate. They will reprice themselves back into the area where we should be trading. And then we're not going to be as bullish as we are, right? Because the markets have literally been rallying to the upside for the last few weeks. Okay, and that remember that the start of this was actually just before the debt ceiling, where we finally fixed that, right? So we got that fixed up, and now the price action continued to the upside, into that debt ceiling resolve. And now the price action is continuing again to the upside into the potential 67% of the sentiment feeling that we may actually pause a rate hike. Okay, so that is essentially what's happening right now. Okay, so I must warn you that the price action will continue to a very heavy resistance upon that Wednesday FOMC meet, right? So the Fed will be announcing this on Wednesday, and we should keep a close eye on this, because if they do rate hike, the markets can capitulate and everything under the markets will face a serious pressure. Okay, you guys, so what that means for ticker symbol VIRI is that if we do get affected here by that rate hike that they would put in, then the price action would essentially come back down to validate that golden cross first, instead of actually running to the upside and waiting for the cross to finally happen and then coming back to the SMA 50. Okay, so there are very important metrics that we should keep in consideration here. Okay, you guys. So just I know historically speaking, whenever we do get a golden cross price action, everybody just gets super bullish and they run the price action to the upside because the golden cross happened, and it hasn't happened in forever, right? So this is generally, especially on the daily time frame, this is when and where that golden cross is looked at, right? So that would be the crossing of the SMA 50 over the SMA 200. Okay, you guys, so remember those risks. Remember what we're talking about here. Okay, so if we do capitulate to come back and test that SMA 200 over the 50 cross, that could lead the price action to the 0618 at around 102 to about 106. Okay, so that could be a serious flashing of the momentum here. I'm not saying that it would be the end of VIRI. I am saying that there could actually be a pretty massive bounce from this to the upside. But from this bounce, we would actually have to face several resistances on that way up, including the one that we've actually been combating over the last few days, even a week. Okay, so that is what's going on with that. Okay, but we have to talk about some very good news here that is implying that we could continue to the upside. This is the 5-day volatility versus momentum backtest that we've actually been looking at for quite some time. All right. So right now, at this present moment, we are sitting at the average upside thrust based on account of this condition, right? So it is anytime that volatility has contracted from the critical expansion zone, that paired with stochastic momentum with an upside pivot, and also the iterations guessed correctly to the upside versus the downside, which, by the way, we have 100% upside accuracy from. That condition has led an average mean or an average upside thrust of 64.76%, which, by the way, we are sitting and lingering right within that even still, right? So we already met that target almost perfectly to the dollar, right? That was the dollar value was 183. We went to 181 just about a week and a half ago or something like that, right? So we're lingering right within that average upside thrust even still. So the way that we can understand or see that we do have a continuation to the upside is by measuring the standard deviation based from that mean, right? So we have a 64.76% mean with a standard deviation of 60.24, right? So that standard deviation gives us an upper bound and a lower bound, which is otherwise the the bell curve, right? So the upper 68% of the results land within that 60.24. This is the standard deviation, the average performers, right? So now the lower bound of the first standard deviation was a very small move of 4.52%. The one that we're actually looking at and may actually have a shot at it because of what's happening, and I'm going to touch on that real quick, is actually the upper bound of the first standard deviation, which is leading to about a 125% move from the firing of the signal, which was right at this candle here. Okay, so remember, the backtest means that we need contraction from volatility and an upside from momentum, right? So please notice here, I'm going to make this larger so that we can see what's happening. We're getting the contraction. Okay, so now we're starting to get that downside on the volatility. Remember, this is direction neutral, right? So only because this is going down doesn't mean that the price action is going down. Okay, so we have that contraction phase starting, which is literally every single test that I've taken is only when we're starting to decline, right? Decline here, right? Decline here. So this right now is starting to decline, which would in essence fire the signal. Remember that this is 64.76%. I'm sorry. Remember that this is a 125% to the upside, to the very top side of that mean. Of the upper bound of the first standard deviation. That's the very top side of it. But remember that 16% of the results land within that too. So this would be the 125% to the upside, but we still have other targets to look at. Right, other pertinent resistances. It just so happens that we have that within that, right? So, yeah, if we do face that 125% move to the upside, then we would be facing a resistance of $2.81, which brings very much a lot of curiosity here, because when we start looking at the daily time frame, the top side of this candle right over here when we started capitulating is $3.15, right? So this is why we have that resistance between 315 and 281 to the upper bound of the first standard deviation, right? So this is essentially what I'm looking at. We have contraction from volatility, upside from momentum, and one of the most important metrics is that we have absolute DMI support. DMI plus is the bulls, DMI minus is the bears, and the ADX is this dotted white line, which represents market trend or market trending. So this would be favoring whoever is on top of the DMI plus or DMI minus. In this case, bulls are on top, and we are sitting at, guess where? 32%. Anytime that we are above 30% market trending on that ADX, this means that the move is likely to happen, giving us a higher probability for the move to happen. But please remember that these are statistics, my apologies, and they are not certainties. Okay, you guys, they must be taken as such. Okay, because there's nothing guaranteed in the markets. Anything that I say right now can be invalidated by any bad news catalyst, literally the Fed, right? So if they announce that they're going to rate hike, everything under the sun will bleed. Okay, you guys, so we have to be very careful with that. If we're looking at the RSI and the last part of this analysis here, as we are reaching about 10 minutes to the video, I want to make sure that we don't oversaturate people right here, right? So 30-minute immediate short-term time frame is suggesting a little bit of sideways trading here, where we can see that we can face a bounce is actually from the 4-hour and the 8-hour time frame RSI. And why am I saying that? Well, because the RSI signal represented by that cyan or baby blue line has the support of the SMA 14 represented by that pink line. Both of these time frames have that bounce potential, right? So now as we go into a larger time frame like the buy daily, you can see that the buy daily has used that SMA 14 as support and is now suggesting a continuation to the upside, thus bleeding into the 3-day and into the 5-day. Okay, so if we do get that bounce from this, I would say the 4-hour, the 4-hour and the 8-hour, if we do get those bounces there, highly likely we can actually continue to that upside and succeed that very top side that we're looking at the 125% zone. Another thing to look at here, you guys, is on the daily too. The RSI and the SMA 14 are pivoted slightly towards the upside and approaching the gravitational zone of the bullish control zone, right? So this actually would present a very bullish scenario here to where we can cross and succeed the upside of the SMA 14 using the gravitational pull from that very zone of the bullish control zone. Okay, you guys, so please remember first and foremost that I am not a financial advisor. Take whatever I do show and iterate within these videos as just a form of entertainment, as I cannot suggest for you to buy or sell or hold actually any assets whatsoever. I need you to do your own due diligence and everything will be cool. Okay, you guys, but with that said, I wish you well, a very, very good night, and I will catch you at the bell mañana. Adios.